Hello everyone, this is Marieanne the Artsie Crafter. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to continue on with making some background pages for the how to make a Christmas journal from scratch. So we've got a lot to get through today. Once we make some background pages while they're drying, we'll get on to actually working in the journal, getting some flips and such made. So we'll get on with it. We're going to get one of these sketchbook pages and some coffee dye. We need two of them. Two, and we're just simply going to shake the bottle and spray some coffee. Just lightly spray with coffee dye like that, and that will create a pattern when it dries, hopefully. Leave that aside and do the next one. Okay. I use these sheets so that I can move them and they have a firm surface to dry on. And then I can clean up my bench, and once again just lightly spray on these like that and leave it aside to dry. We'll be doing more with them later on. Now I just need to put that away and wipe down the bench. The next we're going to do is make some of these background pages. So put that down. We're going to do going to bring the paints over. This is my little paint tray. I'll turn it around so you can see here. These are three colors I'm going to use. Just like a leaf green or a sap green, just a normal green, grass green, a dark green, and also a Payne's grey. As I said before, if you don't have that, just add some white paint to black and you'll get that. We're going to paint this what you call wet paint on a dry background, and so we're just going to mix these up. We just want to make a dark green, a fairly dark cool green, and it looks like if you've got these ones here with no names, it's just this one and the grey. To mix them all together, you spray these with water to activate them, and then just with one of these trays or any flat surface, you can just mix up some paint to a dark colour. I'm going to use these ones, and looks like I haven't used this one before. So I'm just going to blend the three together. Oops, so you want it dark. So the dark green and the grey are going to make it a dark shade. This green here is just going to give it a little bit of life, so it's not so dull. And I usually have my testing piece of paper here and a tissue or paper towel, and then my large brush and water bottle and spray bottle, and I just spray the water to activate it and mix it all up together. You need a fair amount to cover this page, so we'll just see if that's dark enough. So it's pretty colour, but we need a little bit darker. So I'll put the dark grey and the grey, charcoal grey in there. there's no precise measurements. You just keep mixing it up until you get a colour that you like. You could stick to that colour, and I don't think I got it any darker. I just add a little bit more of the grey. You could also add some black in there if you want to. A little bit more water. Mix it in so that all the colours blend together. And see if it got any darker. There we go. Nice dark green. And then we just paint that on. This is just the background. We're going to put some more things over the top of this. So you just brush it on one way and then go crossways. I don't tape the pages down because we're only doing background pages. We're not actually doing any paintings or anything like that. So you get as much of that paint on. There you go. And that's done. So you just leave that aside to dry. Before I forget, when we finish painting this side of the paper, then we just flip it over and paint this side. Make sure the first side's dry first, paint this side and then set it aside, and we'll get to it in the next video. Clean that up. There we go. So the next one is we'll use this mixture, what's left of it, and then we'll spray it. And we'll put some blue, if you got blue in one of these, the darkest blue you could see, which is like a Prussian blue. This is a Prussian blue. I'm going to add a little bit of that to the mix to make it even a cooler colour. And I'll mix that up. We want this really watery. A lot of water, so it's like half water and half paint, like that. And then we're going to get our sponge, and we're going to dab the sponge, get some tissue paper, get a bigger bit, this one here, and we're going to wet the sponge, just make it a little bit damp on top, and dab that in, then dab it off. And we just want to make some, that's far too dark, I want it lighter, so we will add in some of this paint, that other green, and I might just put some in there, and some of that dark blue. Oops. Because I wanted it's a pretty good colour actually. So to get it really pale, we just want it really pale. So I'll see if that's going to be even paler than that if we can. So I will wet the sponge again, dab that on, and it's still a bit too dark, so I'll add more colour. This will dry a lot lighter, so now we'll get our page. Some paper here. And I might get a spray bottle and just spray a little bit of water on there. That will help to dull the paint. And so your sponge has got some of that colour on. Just dab it like that. A little bit more. So what you're going to do is dab that texture onto the paper and leave that aside. If you want to do 2 of those, you can dab as much on or as little on. We want 2 of those. So I'll do another one. Another here. I'm just going to continue with what's left on the sponge. As I said, you just want a pale background here, and this time I didn't spray the background with water because it's light enough. That's what's left on your brush. That's all you have to do, and that's done. So that's those pages. So now we're just going to wash the sponge, rinse that out in some water, and then get on with the next one. All these are going to be green pages, background pages. Do first, makes it nice and easy. The next one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to sponge on this paint. So if we get a bit of this green that we already mixed up and we put it in here, and it should be good enough, but we might add a little bit of yellow to it just to warm it up a little bit, get that in shot. So you can just dab on a little bit of yellow, about that much, not too much, and spray in some water, mix it up with the brush, and there we go. Got a nice green. It's still a bluish green. It's a little bit brighter. And once again, lost my sponge. Dab the sponge into the paint, and I need a new sheet of this, so I'm going to dab it off onto here, and then dab it onto here. Same thing as before. We'll be stenciling over these later, so you dab this on and then dab the colour in, so that way it makes it a little bit lighter and spreads it a little bit more, so you got that nice spongy effect. There we go, and that's done. So the next one, we'll be cleaning off our sponge, and this time I'll just try my hands and pick up my scissors that I dropped before. This time we'll be using a stencil. If you don't have a stencil like that, any kind of stencil, you don't have to have a leaf design. You could use any design that you want, anything at home you've got. We're just making background pages for the journals with the colour, so they don't have to be specific. So this one here, and I lost my brush that I had here before. I'll have to get another one out. Okay, so we're going to use this makeup brush, and we've got the stencil there, and we've got some of this colour still left in here. So all we're going to do is, you want some more tissue paper or rag, and you just tap it on there and then tap it on there, and we'll see. Just going to line this up, hold it down, and look what I've done. I must have had some of that, never mind, and just rub it on. And don't worry if you don't think you see any colour. This one might have had another colour on it. I'll have to see, but it makes a pretty colour. That's all the colour that you need, very faint. So you tap it into the paint, tap it on your rag, cloth, and just rub it on, holding it down so it doesn't move. Very simple. So you can make it as light or dark as you want. Don't worry about that. And then continue on till you cover the whole page. Dab it on, tap it off, rub in. It's nice when you get a variegated light and dark shade in your design. As you can see, it doesn't look like you're putting any on until you lift it up, and you got a lot more colour on there than you think. You can tape this down if you want to, but because I've only got small ones, I need to move them around so I don't tape them down. Tap on, tap off, and rub in. That's all you're doing. Just light, very light. You can see how well these brushes work, and there's no bleeding underneath. As I said, these are just creating some pretty background pages for your journals, and they're not the main event, they're just the background. So you know, you don't have to be precise. If you get them all mixed, you know, messed up a little bit, doesn't matter. If you get stains like that, doesn't matter. That might even show up in your journal, because we'll be cutting these up to make all sorts of pockets and tucks and such. So it won't really matter in the end. There we go. See, I've got lines down here. That doesn't matter because you probably won't see that. It'll become, when you cut it all up, it'll become part of a design. So that's that one. And then wow, we got through those pretty quickly. So I'm just going to wash that, put that in water, and I spray these off. There's not much colour on here, which is good, but I like to dab the paint off so I can use it next time. Put that aside. Clean off my messy desk again. So you can see these are just quick and easy to do, and when you're just doing one colour at a time, it makes the job so much faster. So the next one we're doing is a yellow background. So this one we're going to do yellow, and if you've got one like this, this is a bit dirty at the moment, but we're going to, this is called yellow ochre. It's kind of a goldy yellow, and then one of these yellows, doesn't matter. Blend them together in a pan, and I've got, I should have pulled them out before. My yellow ochre, it's raw sienna. I can't find them here. There we go, yellow ochre and yellow mid, these one. So just mix them up together in the pan. Don't need much. Like that. the lid's on properly. Anyway, spray water in there and use the brush. Hopefully it's clean, and mix the two together. Actually, I don't mix them too much. I'll spray the background with some water, and then as you don't have to mix the colours together in the pan too well, because we're just going to dab some on the background here. I want a little bit lighter than that, so got a little bit too dark. And then we get the, lost my, take some of that colour off. Okay, so spray this water, spray the background, then dab in the sponge and dab that, make sure there's plenty of water in there. Okay. Pretty background, and then we're just going to spray it like that and move the color around. You can see that spreading around. Keep doing that. Until you're happy with what you got. You want more color in places. Dab it, sponge around, and keep moving it around. Like that. And then I just spray on a little bit of coffee spray. Like that. Just to give a variation in colour, and then move it around a little bit, and then leave it like that. And put that one aside and dry, and then we clean up our mess. And that's all the backgrounds we're going to do today. So I'll just clear all this away. This down. So we are going to get our, I've lost it. Would you believe I've lost the journal? Oh, here it is. Under a page. So make sure your surface is nice and clean and dry before you put your journal down. So we're going to go to this one here, this page here, and we're going to, like in this journal that I made, grab hold of it, a little bit slippery. This page here, where is it? We're going to put this flip out on the page. So we're going to use a piece of the copy paper, die copy paper. If you've got one that's torn, that would be good to use. When you leave these to dry, every now and then you might want to keep moving that around to spread the colour out if you haven't got it laying flat like me. And I'm running out of room to put these. Just a moment, I'll put this down somewhere out of the way. It's good if you've got a dining room or kitchen table where you can spread all the pages out until they dry, or you can use a hairdryer, heat gun to dry the pages a little quicker. So we're going to make a little panel. So what we're going to do is we need a ruler and a pencil, and depending on the height, the size of your envelope, mine is 5 inches high, and I think this one is 4 inches, yes, 4, which is 10 centimeters by, was it 13 centimeters high? So you want this panel to be the height of your envelope. So, but we also need to add some hinges to it. So I'm going to do this one, is going to be, what size? I think I'm going to make this panel 3.5 inches wide, 3.5, which is about 9 centimeters. Or just, excuse me a moment. So we're going to make it, so it's going to be 5, and we're going to be folding it up, so it'll be 5 by the double the width of the panel that you're going to put on there. It'll make it clearer if as we go along. So what I'm going to do, we're going to have a 3/8 inch, what we call hinge. So the hinge, so 3/8, you count 3, which is the one before the 1/2 inch, which is also 1 centimeter, I think it is. And then that's 3/8 we measure, and then we want to measure 8 inches across, and then we want to measure 8 3/8 across that way. And we'll do the same at the top, 3/8, 8 inches, then 8 3/8. And then this way we're going to do is 3/8, 5 3/8, 1 2 3, and then 5 and then 6/8 here. So we do 3/8, 1 2 3, 5 and 1 2 3/8, and then 5 and 1 2 3 6/8. So this is where we can cut. So if I show you what we're doing first, and then you can go ahead and cut your panel out here. Put that aside. Now this one's here. See the line? So this is the way it's going to go, like this. This will be your hinge that goes onto the edge here, and this will be your opening. So we can fold that over like that and open this up, so we can mark this to be 3/8. I do that on the outside because I had it on this side. So because I folded that over, I'll just redo those marks. Before I do that, this center line here, we roll the center line in. This is going to be our hinge that goes on the edge of this envelope here, on this edge here. So we're going to do 3/8 on this side, and then 3/8. 1, 2, 3. Mark 3/8 on that side, top and bottom. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is where on one side here you're going to glue this down, cover that up, and then this will be your hinge, because we want this side to open up to be a pocket and the top and bottom will be closed. So this is, at the moment, we want to because I did it on the wrong side, I'll do 1, 2, 3 3/8. 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we want to rule these lines. I'll reopen it. Might be easier. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Just move that aside. I'm going to rule a line on these marks here. Going to do 3/8 the top and bottom. 1, 2, 3 on this side and here. 1, 2, 3/8, and this one. 1, 2, 3/8, and 1, 2, 3/8, and you can rule a line. And here, just makes it easier to see. Because this is copy paper and we're going to use this as a pocket, we've done this so that we can reinforce this edge. We're going to actually turn these over here on that line and glue this down. But before we do that, we've made these little squares here, so we're going to cut this off to reduce the bulk. So all you need to do is get some, there's my little scissors. So this we don't want, so we're just going to cut a slither off on either side of this, so when you fold it, it will sit flat and not overhang. Just cut on that edge here. Take those bits off. We'll do that on all 4 edges, all 4 corners I should say. That right onto that point. Okay, get rid of, so fold these over. So before we go any further, we just get some glue, glue them both down. Okay. Then we can glue, before we glue this in, we want to cut one of these, doesn't matter which one, so this will fold over these. We're going to cut one of these panels off on one side and leave, and then fold these over on the other. It's a bit like making an envelope. So from the middle here, just cut across to that line, and then decide on which end you're going to cut, and then cut that off. I'll use my bigger scissors here to cut them off. There you go. Cut on that line. Like that. Put my glue back on. And then we fold these over on that line. There you go. See what I mean? When you cut this edge off, you do it at an angle, we didn't do these ones at an angle, so you cut them off so they don't hang over the edge. This one's been cut off. You can do it on these panels here too, so they don't stick over the edge like that. And that should be okay. And then we're going to fold that over. We'll glue along here, and along here, and then we will fold this hinge back. And you can see sometimes you get overhangs. It's just the way you fold the paper, so go back and trim more of that off. I didn't cut close enough. There we go. Okay, so see how these stick up? So if you find that, just trim them off a little bit more. That one should be okay. Just a bit more if I can get hold of it. Okay. Okay. Now we glue in here on that top edge there and along here. Oops, that was good on me, wasn't it? I need a tissue. We don't want that bit gluing down. The more I rub it, the more glue gets there. There we go. And fold these over. Make sure they line up. And get clean tissue. Let's just use my thumbnail to burnish these down. There we go. So I'm just going to, these all get covered up by some panels, but I'm just going to mark these hinged lines here. So I'll leave the glue to dry a little bit, and then we can fold these over to make the hinge. Okay, and then we just fold it along that hinge. Bone folder. It's where you need to leave this till the glue dries. There we go. Clean up the mess. And now we can attach this to the journal. You can see I made a little bit smaller, which I prefer. Attach here this, and when we come to decorate these pages, this flap, this hinge will get covered over, so you won't see most of it anyway. So we can glue that on, and that just gives it time for the glue to cure. And you've got your little pocket opening here, so we'll glue that down. If you want to make sure that the hinge stays firmly closed, sometimes when I make thicker pages I like to use the fabric glue because it works faster. And then, oops, center it on the page, right on the edge there of the envelope. Press it down, you open it up, use a bit of tissue and tap it down. Just be careful, the glue is wet, so you want to be gentle with it. And there we go, leave it to dry. Make sure it just stays on that edge, not over the edge. Glue likes to, there we go. It's all ready to be decorated now. Okay, I think the next thing we're going to do before we finish for today is we're just going to put this panel in, and we're going to use this here. I already measured it to size, but I'll go through with you. When I put these decorative papers in the journal, you don't have to, you can go right to the edge of the page, but I like to make a little bit of a border around, all the way around, so I cut it a little bit shorter like this. You can just eyeball it and measure it this way, this edge and this edge, and then line it up on your cutting board and cut it out square, or you can just measure it out. So I usually cut off about 1/8 of an inch or 1/2 centimeter around the edge. So it's up to you how much you want to take off. If you, as I said, if you just want to cover the whole page, that's up to you. But I'm going to leave trim off 1/8 of an inch on all sides, roughly 1/8 of an inch. It doesn't always work out evenly. So this ended up being 5 inches, because this is 5 1/4. You'll see it's 5 1/4. See there, 5 1/4 wide, so end up being 5 inches wide, and that's 8 inches high, so this ends up being 7 3/4 inches high, or 19.4 centimeters high by 12.5 wide, roughly. So that's 7. So that's a bit, that's right, 7 3/4 there, and oops, stay 7 3/4, and just cut that down to size. There you go. And then before glue it in, I'm just going to ink up the edges, and I'm going to use brown to ink around the edges. And I don't like this one, but I don't know where the other ones are. Oh, here's one. Use this one. Just ink around the edges just to frame the paper. So Sometimes I find if the paper's a little bit too delicate and you want to get a nice defined edging, I usually put it on something firm, against something firm, and then you can go a little faster. Get those corners, that vintage look. So whether you want ink or not ink, it's up to you. And there we go. So now we can just glue this onto the page, and that page is finished. Do that now. Glue off. Go around the edges. So this is the last little project that we'll be doing, or task that we'll be doing today in this video. Next week we'll continue on making some background pages and making all the pockets and tucks and that kind of thing. Flip outs and some journal panels. There we go. Close enough is good enough. Sometimes I go back over the other side. There's nothing on the other side, and wipe down from the back, and then leave it for it to dry, the glue to dry. That around the edge, and there we go. Okay. Before we wrap up this video, I just want to show you the next set of freebies that I have available for you to download. These are some leaves that we're going to paint. I've drawn them out for you, so all you have to do is download them and print them out. I suggest you print them out on the paper that you're going to paint on, that scrapbook paper or art paper that's around the 110 GSM or 29 pound weight. These leaves, I'll show you where we're going to use them in various places in the journal. We've got this first one here, if we can find it, is this page here. This is this paper here. So I'll show you using, you can either use pens or inks or paint to paint them with. So that's that one. And then this page here has these leaves, which will be painted. These ones here. It's kind of a simpler version of the signature cover that we've been using. And then this one down here has been painted, and the little leaves and the berries have got been filled in with gel pens. So that's an option for you to use. Also, this image here is just one that I did of the pine needles and some berries. So instead of getting you to do this, I decided to offer this to you as a freebie to download. So this will all be available to download. I'll leave a link in the description box below where you can download these leaves, and we'll start doing some in the next video. Mainly this one here, we just cut out and put on the back of the envelope, flip out. So that's that, and we'll just wrap up today. Thank you very much for joining me in making this journal, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.